Hey, this is Tanya. Welcome to Girl Call Me, the podcast for, by, and about Black women. We hope you enjoy today's conversation as we chat about all things health, relationships, and life. We'll have you laughing, testifying, and most importantly, feeling seen and whole as the beautiful Black woman you are. Now on to the nonsense.
So when you think about, body positivity, shaming, where do we come out? What's the big question? Where do we fall within these? And at the end of the day, how do we choose to present ourselves and come and show up?
Yeah, I think for me, it is trying to stop blaming people and bodies and stop commenting on people and bodies first. And that goes for myself. So whether it's me in the dressing room, whether it's someone at a, red carpet, whether it's Oprah, whether it's Lizzo, I think it's starting with who's the person, what's their experience, and trying to leave their body out of it.
Yeah, at the end of the day, I need to accept myself, be happy with myself, regardless of where I stand within the spectrum of the 6 or not, or 6 or 10 or 14 or 22. And and is it aspirational? Yes, because I'm not there today. But what I also need to do, in this world in which we are all being told that now obesity is a disease and it's something in our brains and we can fix it with this miracle drug. And it's kind of like, I need to just be like, not looking at others and going, what shot are they on? What are we doing? What was everybody doing? And really just say, listen, whatever anybody needs to do, good for them. And I wish and I hope that everyone, whether they're losing weight or skinnier or fatter or whatever, that I'm not commenting, because that's not really where that's the conversation should start when I first see someone. And then asking that of others when they're having conversations with me.
Which one do you think is easier? Do you think asking people to not comment on your body or consciously trying not to comment on other people's bodies is easier for you?
Probably the latter. I think not consciously not commenting on others, right? Because
it's harder for you.
It's harder because to be direct, and I think it's a struggle to have to be direct and say, could you not comment about that? That's hard. It's hard to be vulnerable, because then you have to be vulnerable enough to let someone know that they're making you uncomfortable.
Right.
Or vulnerable enough to let them know that what they're doing is not right for you.
Right.
So it's probably easier for me to start the self-love by not commenting on others and just really focusing on myself. And because in all intents and purposes, can we control other people?
Right. Yeah. No, you're right. I think it would be so hard for me to ever say to someone, can you not comment on my body? I can't even imagine ever saying it.
Which is sad in some ways, right?
It's so sad.
We should be able to say, it's a boundary.
Right.
We should be able to have that boundary. And I'd love to hear from the audience if they've gotten to that place. We need some tips.
Right. Yeah. It's this, you could imagine that a conversation could go like, hey, Marcy.
Hey, Marcy.
Hey, Marcy, I don't like to talk about my body in these ways. So I know it's something that you like to talk about, and I'm sure it helps you to talk about it and process it. It's not something that I enjoy doing. I can't.
Marcy is looking at you and like, Marcy, depending on who they are, Marcy may be crying at this point.
or Marcy's looking at me going, oh, it's because, and then walking away going, fat Black people don't like to talk about their weight. And then they're filing it under things I should never do around fat Black people again.
Talk about that, touch hair, can't do this. Okay, great.
You're right. It's not going to work. All right, fine. So this means we have to stop talking about people's bodies.
We have to treat people the way we want to be treated.
Right.
And
Right.
remember that.
Right.
So, yeah, we were talking about body positivity and all that it means in some ways to us and how we interact with others associated with that. It's funny, you were looking around and you found a quote, or maybe actually you were looking and you found the definition. It would be interesting, let's talk about what's the definition of body positivity.
Right. So body positivity refers to the assertion that all people deserve to have a positive body image, regardless of how society and popular culture view ideal shape, size, and appearance. Some of the goals of the movement include challenging how society views the body, promoting the acceptance of all bodies, helping people build confidence and acceptance of their own bodies, and addressing unrealistic body standards.
Unrealistic body standards.
Right.
Wow. Okay, so when you think about unrealistic body standards, it's funny because I think all my life, when we look at the media, we look at who's in music, TV, so forth, it's just now that I'm seeing people that look like me, body-wise, right?
Right.
When we're thinking about society's standards and our standards, what does body positivity, when you think about it, mean to you?
Well, I think that body positivity is about the neutrality of it all as well.
Yeah.
Being able to look at my body without any shame attached or negative thoughts attached to something, focusing more on the functionality of my body, the health of my body versus the appearance of my body.
Right.
And that actually is a helpful definition for me, because what it does mean is if I feel like I have a health metric that isn't good, like objectively is not good, then I don't have to be positive about that fact. I have to acknowledge, take in the information, try to get to a better place, right? Versus, I don't look good in this. This doesn't look good on me. I don't like the look of this size. Like, that is what we have to get away from. Yeah. And then I can focus more on, if I feel good and my mobility is good and all my health indicators are good, then why would I be focusing on anything else appearance-wise that would keep me from feeling positive about a situation that I should feel positive about?
Yeah, I think that I struggle with this whole body positivity term, phrase because it feels as though it does put the emphasis on the appearance.
Yeah.
So I want you, whoever you are, to accept me and accept my body and not judge me and so forth and so on. But yet we're putting this label, we're putting this, embracing your body and so forth. And it really does go away from the health aspect. So we're not necessarily saying, hey, girl, how your numbers doing? No one's hugging you.
How your sugars?
How's that sugar? No one's, how healthy are you? How are you feeling? So forth. We're not starting with that, because when you think about it, I know a lot of skinny people who, in theory, looked a certain way, but yet died of a massive heart attack.
Right.
And so when we unpack it, and yeah, there's also overweight people with the same scenario. So I would love to, instead of the whole body positivity, which is something that's, I think, just made up for some arbitrary reason, I would love for us to just really focus on, how are you feeling?
Well, I read an article which I think is interesting about body positivity and appearance that was talking about really these aims, these societal aims to get to a certain level, right? And that appearance supports these societal hierarchies, arbitrary societal hierarchies that we've put in place, right? So if we run on that assumption, then as a Black overweight woman, we're starting at the very bottom. So we kind of have no other option than being body positive, because if people are judging us based on our appearance, and appearance is aligned with hierarchy, and we're women, so that obviously knocks us down a few pegs. Now we're of color, another peg. Now we're a Black woman, another peg. Now we're obese, another peg. So it's like we don't really have an option but to be body positive.
No, no.
Right? Because at the end of the day, we have to find a way to embrace our bodies and to build each other up, because we are only getting torn down, and people are only trying to not be us. People are trying to be thinner. People are trying to be lighter skinned. People are trying to,
straight hair, people trying to, regardless of how much it may kill you.
Right.
Right. But yeah.
So I think as Black women, maybe body positivity is so triggering because it's not just weight for us. You're asking, I have to feel on alert about everything on my appearance.
Everything from your hair.
Right.
Why is it natural? Is it not natural?
Right.
Are you putting on braids? What's happening? Someone, I had someone recently ask me, how does I had a hairstyle, and they were looking at me going, so how does that happen? How does that happen? Your hair was short yesterday. Now it looks different. So it's constant.
See these bags right here, girl? I got 5 of these at home.
Right. So it's yeah. Different textures. So it's, yes. I mean, when you thinking about it for Black women, the body positive conversation is beyond what is your weight on that scale.
Yeah, it's like we said, it's open season. Maybe this is why body positivity is so triggering for me.
Right.
Is because it's like it's this assumption that we should be an open book. But we already know people don't understand our bodies.
Right.
So people making comments about our appearance is already triggering as hell. And so it's like, can I assume that someone's going to come with a positive, non-label conversation with me? No. I'm worried anytime anyone's talking about my body, it's going to be wildly inappropriate.
Right.
So, or my appearance, I should say, not my body. Anytime someone's talking about my appearance, it's going to be wildly inappropriate. That's just an assumption I move through the world with.
Right.
So then this idea that oh my gosh, we'll just stop focusing on appearance and start talking about functionality. It's this is what I say, the skeptic comes out in me, and I'm like, I can't get people to stop asking, to your point, about my hair. Now I'm just expecting that I'm walking through the world and everyone's accepting all of me. Right. Come on.
It's not going to happen.
No.
It's not going to happen. And then when you think about, I was recently, last week, I, see, that time of the year when I'm trying to go to a few doctor's appointments. And, we've talked about all my lovely list of my board of doctors. And, the first thing that they do when you walk into the doctor's office is take your weight.
Right.
And that's, first of all, they're not looking at my blood work. They're not looking at, but they're making an assumptions. And so when I walked in the doctor's office this week, and I was it was 3:00 in the afternoon.
Trigger warning, everybody.
Right. This is, yeah. So we walked at 3:00 in the afternoon. I had weighed myself that morning.
Right.
And she was like, oh. And I said, no, this is the weight that you probably should put, because that was my actual weight. And she goes, okay. And she laughed. And I was like, why are we laughing? In my mind, I'm like, why are you laughing when I'm telling you what my actual weight? Because yes, it was 3 pounds more. But I'm going back, the doctor's not thinking about body positivity when they're thinking about what's on the scale,
no,
what do you look like, and so forth and so on, and how are you doing? But going back to what I was saying earlier, I wished we were having more of a dialogue about our health and how we're doing.
The functionality piece of your body.
The functionality piece of my body.
Right.
Because I think there are conversations that I'm having. That's why we started this podcast, right? Because we were having conversations about our health and how we're feeling and so forth. But I think that would be more welcome dialogue, actually. How are you feeling? How are you doing? How's your stress level?
Right. Are the activities that you used to do becoming easier, or are the activities that you do becoming easier for you or harder for you, right? That occupational piece of life. Yeah, I think, what are your thoughts about body positivity and appearance and self-talk? What are your thoughts about how do you sometimes self-sabotage with self-talk when it comes to body positivity?
Yeah, how do I sabotage? It's an interesting concept. I think that for me, maybe because I just don't like the body positivity thing, I am constantly just worried about, the reason why I know the weight when I went to the doctor's office is because I probably had weighed myself 3 times that morning. I get on. I just make sure it's calibrated correctly. So, I think I'm in a constant state of worry. I'm constantly thinking about, it's funny because I embrace myself because I think I look good in some things, but then on the other side, I'm like, what are other people thinking about me? And how am I fitting whatever? I used to look like this. Now I look like this. I'm 50. Now I'm, So I think this whole self-talk can be very obsessive, and it can also be very anxiety producing.
Right.
And I think because we're so focused on what everyone's doing and appearance, and as I said before, this new wave of weight loss drugs, and am I on it? Am I doing it? How do I, feel? I think it's kind of stressful. And and it's interesting because I don't really even think about you asking that question. God, I'm like, how am I? What am I doing? What's my self-talk?
Right. Well, the appearance thing is hard because, we are only, appearance is always going to be inevitably going to be how we measure ourselves and our progress. Yeah. Whether it's the scale, whether it's the mirror, whatever it is, like, we're measuring appearance all of the time. How people respond to us when they see us and say, oh, have you lost weight? Have you gained weight? Like, it's always going to be this kind of easy way to gauge how you're doing. And I don't think we realize the judgment that puts on our body.
And the shame, going back to, the shame that we feel, the shame that others put upon us. We may be even feeling good that day. And all of a sudden someone decides to interject their own personal stuff.
Oh my gosh.
And make you kind of like, oh, I guess I'm not doing it.
Or how many events have you been to where you leave looking fire and you're like, okay, I'm looking good, I feel good, and then someone takes a picture. And then you see the picture and you're like, oh my gosh, I look terrible.
Right. They posted it on social media somewhere and you're like, I'm going to need y'all to take that down.
Right.
Because that is not what I look like in my mirror.
Right.
I was looking really the wrong angle, people.
Right. High and tight.
Right.
Okay, you got to hit it. But I feel like how quick appearance totally negates how you were feeling.
Right. That
and functionality
went out
and everything. Body positivity is gone because you saw a picture.
Right.
Oh my gosh. This just happened to me recently. And I actually didn't see the picture being taken. And I didn't realize it had been taken until it was all over social media. Because usually I get a little edit. I'm the one who's like, I don't even like taking that many pictures, and I don't like posting on social media. So I didn't see it, didn't catch it. So actually left feeling like I looked fire. Still had that feeling going to bed like, all right, great. It wasn't until like 2 weeks later that I saw this picture when I'm scrolling through. Someone, this was a picture of like 10 people.
Mm-hmm.
Someone posted it on their LinkedIn.
Oh.
And then I see someone else posted it on Instagram. Then I
it's
see
now gone viral.
It's gone viral. I mean, viral meaning like, whatever to my circle.
Friend,
yeah. But this has gone viral without my control.
Yes.
And it's I'm seeing this picture so far removed from the experience that I don't have that. I don't even have that feeling of I felt good that day to hold on to. I'm just looking at this picture going, oh my God, I have to lose weight. Like, this is terrible.
So now you're in the spiral. You're
full spiral
down.
Full spiral. And it's keeping me probably for 2 weeks. I'm lying. Longer than 2 weeks. Was I like so self-conscious about everything I put on, hiding from every picture that's being taken. So like I was feeling fine and I was feeling good. And I had lost weight. Like all of these things that felt like, okay, like these are all these like mini wins for me. One picture and the way I saw it was done.
And I've had that many times in which someone took a great picture that they were like, oh my God, you look so great. I remember we were in Italy and there were all these pictures and the person was doing one of those videos on Facebook. And I was like, I think at one point, I think at one point I had a fork in my mouth and my mouth was open and I was like, I need you to take that down. And they were like, oh, why? I was like, I need you to take it down.
Because I'm spiraling. How about that?
I need this down. And it's such, in some ways we are laughing about it, but it is such real. This is so real for us.
Yeah.
Right.
If you had to name like 5 worst pictures that have ever been taken of you, I can immediately list those pictures for you. And it is gut-wrenching. Like how bad those pictures are, but probably even worse is how I've talked to myself about those pictures. It's so shameful. So shameful. And all of those pictures that are like so triggering to me were wonderful memories. It's not like I was at the worst, bottom of the bottom, I'm depressed, I'm this and this picture. No, it's like wonderful memories. That's why someone's posting it, because they're like, look at what a beautiful experience this is. And those are like,
but the picture shadowed the beautiful time that you had and how, and so it's so such a big thing in some ways. And so how do we, talking about shame, talking about body positivity, talking about positive self-talk, and I'd be curious to hear, what other people techniques. I beg for good techniques.
I beg for good techniques. Yeah.
But how do we, how do we move forward?
Right.
I mean, because you have to kind of go, okay, that picture was taken. Doesn't mean you need to go on a crash diet next week. Whether it was an ankle or maybe everyone else thinks that picture looks great.
An ankle? Like, do you think I'm shaming myself over an ankle looking fat?
I said angle.
Oh, an ankle.
Not your ankles. Not the cankles.
It's not usually an angle.
I'm saying it could have been that angle, right? Yeah. Right? Let's embrace that. Yes. Let's say that's
or it could be that you're in a picture with a bunch of people who are all of different sizes, but you're comparing yourself. In this case, I was comparing myself to how much bigger I look than everybody. Yeah. And it's like, isn't that the thing? Like, of course you look different than everybody. You are different bodies, right?
Right. And there goes that. And I'm sure there was someone else in that picture who had the same reaction. And they probably
not the person who posted it and decided that it was going to go viral.
You were feeling good. You were the only ones that like, a good picture of me. I don't care about that.
Right.
But what I do now is I ask people permission
to post something.
Yeah.
But then here's the problem. We're feeding into it. I get it. Because I'm the one who just said how frustrated I was. But also then we're feeding into like, okay, tell me you feel like you don't look fat in this.
Say, you know what? Let me get that skinny app out real quick, and then let me.
Okay, no, we don't. Body positive.
I may have a skinny app.
Oh,
Okay.
this episode just got 25 minutes longer.
Right.
Do not tell me you have a skinny app. What does that even mean?
The app is called Skinny. It's specifically, come on, don't tell me that Kim Kardashian doesn't use.
I have never heard of this as a real thing.
Face. We might be doing a video at some point.
Not me.
You can usually use this app to make your whole body smaller.
How does that?
And I'm not saying I use it, everybody.
Okay.
I'm not saying.
I'm going to go ahead and say you do because you told me you have it downloaded. So
it might be downloaded for emergencies. But I haven't used it in a while.
What do you, okay, here's what I don't understand about the Skinny app. I cannot believe this just came out. Aren't you setting yourself up for such failure? Like you're editing pictures to make yourself look something. Okay. And then when you see somebody or when you see the picture like, oh, good. And then you're seeing yourself in the mirror and you look totally different. Aren't you setting yourself up for failure?
This sounds like another episode.
No, it doesn't.
This is my question. Photoshop exists. I've had wedding pictures. I mean, I got married and they took off maybe, a blemish or something that was wrong. They make the picture. We have people who professionally go in.
Yeah.
And edit pictures.
I feel like I'm so against this. I don't even do Photoshop.
Okay, so this got awkward and so quickly.
No, it's real. I get it. No,
it is real. It is real. And I'm not saying that every picture has to have a Tanya, skinny photo go through it. But I'm saying that this is part of the problem with body positivity because I'm like, listen, you have to be high up, taking that picture from a certain angle, and hold up. Send that picture real quick to me and let me clean that up. It's what we do in society. And I know that, and you may not do it.
No, I get it.
There is,
I just don't post, right? So it's our own mechanism, right? I just you're not going to see me, if I'm feeling not great, you're never going to see me post a photo.
I'm okay to post it.
As long as you can touch it.
Maybe, and I'm not saying I am. Like, please don't look at my social and be like, so this ain't really what she looks like. But I will say that
you got that Zoom. What is that? That does not a skinny filter, right? That's just blemishes, the Zoom one.
You can, there's a lot of things you could do. There's a lot of things you could do with modern technology exists for those purposes. But I digress. So. But as we talk about this, and, I always say, let's leave a question, and I think there's a lot of questions in our minds of I think it's a personal navigation. Right?
Yes. How do you navigate?
Everybody is doing it on their own terms in their own way.
How do you find ways to stay? Because we're not asking you, how do you live a life of body positivity? Because that would be a lie. All you would call in lying. But how, what tools, what tools do you use to try to be more positive about body image and appearance in your life? And what I'd love to hear from people too, who have kids, that I can't even imagine the awareness that parents have these days. Right. How are you talking to your kids about this and getting ahead of this? Because for so many of us, these are habits we've been carrying since, like you said, I remember when I had to first start wearing adult clothes or adult sizes. And I think I skipped from a child 13 to an adult 8. I don't think I had anything in between. And that was so bad for me. Mm-hmm. And bad meaning I didn't know what to do. I didn't know how to deal with it. I didn't know how to talk about the shame. And I think it still sits with me. So if you're out there raising kids, would love to hear the conversation that you have with young Black girls in particular about their body and being positive.
Yeah. Yeah. So, it's funny because we had this conversation. I'm not sure we have a conclusion.
There is no conclusion.
I think the most important thing, one of my takeaways is that regardless We're all, and I think we had 10 other women have a conversation about their experiences, bodies, positivity, all different sizes. I imagine we would all have something to say and some struggle, because I think it's a universal struggle. It's not just women of color going through it, although we may have the hair and may have some other things. But I think we are all in this society that is so focused on image and posting and where you're at. We're all struggling with it in some ways.
And all of us would probably be more likely to say to another woman, you should really be more positive about your body before we said it to ourselves.
Absolutely.
Hey, it's Jessica. Thanks for listening to Girl Call Me. If you have something to add or a story to share, come on over to Instagram or Facebook and join the conversation. Also, make sure you follow and subscribe Girl Call Me. You don't want to miss when we release new episodes. Thanks for listening.